Hi loves, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So here we are for the long awaited review of The Cottage, which has got a limited run on Broadway. 16 weeks only, and we managed to see it on the 31st of July. Now this was our last full day in NYC, and if you've been watching my shorts on our time in New York, you'll know how incredible it was. Like, we managed to fit so much into that time. And after seeing Parade, like, I genuinely thought if we got to see another Broadway show, it would be a bonus. Now, what we didn't know is that Mondays are actually Broadway's typical day off. So a lot of shows don't actually play that day. There's a very small amount that do. And we saw this one called The Cottage. We knew that it was a comedy. We knew that it was going to be very fast paced and quite sort of uplifting in that regard. And we thought, yeah, let's try and get tickets for it. And we went to the TKTS booth in Times Square and managed to get a really, really good deal. So we managed to see 2 shows in the space of like 4.5 days in New York. Incredible. Let me tell you a little bit about The Cottage. So this is Broadway's brand new side-splitting romp. I love that word, romp. And it is an outrageous tale of sex, betrayal and desire as one woman decides to expose her latest affair to both her husband and to her lover's wife. The true meaning of fate and faith, identity and infidelity, love and marriage are all called into question as a surprising and hilarious web of secrets unravel in this ridiculously funny romantic comedy. And that is exactly what it was. It was ridiculous and it was hilarious at the same time. These actors were so incredibly well cast. We actually saw Beau and Sylvia played by the understudies. Beau was played by Tony Roach and Jamie Ann Romero played Sylvia. Now, as soon as the show started, I was particularly enamoured and amazed by the set and the costume, and that continued to impress both me and my partner throughout the whole show. It was stunning. It was really magnificent to look at, and it only amplified the hilarity and complete chaos that was unfolding during the show. I'm not going to talk about the story too much because I feel like it's one of those where it's a very kind of 1920s farce, very similar to that of The Play That Goes Wrong, Noel Coward's Hay Fever, as my partner rightly said. It's got this real kind of quick wit about it. I think a British theatre company like Mischief Theatre, who produced The Play That Goes Wrong, would really do this show justice in the UK, and I could see it coming over here, absolutely. In fact, it made me quite excited about the show and kind of what was going to happen after this short run. You know, was it going to go any further? But nonetheless, the whole show from start to finish was just hilarious. I think both me and my partner said that it was interesting to see like a British comedy performed by American actors speaking in a British accent and directed and created by American people. It was nice to see their interpretation of it and how well they pulled it off as well. Standout performance, I mean, really the whole cast were fantastic, but Alex Moffat as Clark, spot on. Physical comedy done to complete perfection, brilliant in every possible way. You had Dana Steingold as Deirdre, again, just, oh god, there's a moment where we see her character like gradually become more and more drunk in a very short space of time because she's never drunk alcohol. You do not hear a moment of the dialogue that's happening between the other characters because you are so gripped by her performance. She just, oh gosh, she was just completely hilarious. Like off the rails but hilarious. I loved it. You had Nihal Joshi, I think that's how you say it, I hope it is, as Richard. Again, brilliantly funny. Very sort of, there was a real kind of desperation in his character, which I think made it funnier. And again, it was quite a contrast to some of the other characters who were very like, you know, loud, proud and hilarious in that way. This one was much more internal, but yeah, equally as loud and chaotic at moments. Then you had Lily Cooper as Marjorie. very, very funny. Like, she's quite a stern woman, and I think the camaraderie and chemistry between Alex Moffat and Lily Cooper was, oh, it was just so good. Like, their comedic timing together was on point. Her American accent was coming through a little bit in her English accent, but if I'm completely honest, it didn't really matter too much because of the nature of the show and because of how comedic and farcical it was. If anything, it actually made it funnier. I don't know if that was a deliberate choice or whether there was just a little bit of a slip up with the accent. I do think if that had been maybe a more serious play and she hadn't have pulled off the English accent, I think it probably would have been a little bit like, oh, that's a bit awkward. But it kind of worked. Like, it didn't really bother me too much that the accent wasn't 100% there, because it just kind of went with the character. Yeah. And would you believe that this whole show was actually directed by Jason Alexander, who I know as being the bad guy in Pretty Woman? Like, what the hell? I couldn't believe that he was directing it, and I thought he did a brilliant job. You know, throughout the whole thing, the slick physical comedy and the timing of it, the way that these actors were delivering their lines was just spot on. Like, it was really hitting the mark. You could tell from the atmosphere in the audience that people were really engaging with this. You know, there were moments where everybody's sides were splitting. You had people leaning over the side of their chairs in laughter because it was just that much for us to take, but in the best way. I think we couldn't have done better, really, getting the seats that we had as well, because we were sat at the back of the stalls, which I believe is the orchestra in that particular theatre. So it would be stalls in England, orchestra in New York. We had a brilliant view. If you're gonna go and see it, feel free to sit on the back row of the orchestra, because you will see everything. You won't miss a thing. And yeah, oh gosh, just the best show to see before we headed back home. But honestly, that's all I have to say about this show. It was laugh out loud. It was just really feel good. We left at the end feeling so happy. And yeah, we were so lucky to get to see it. And it was a week after it had opened as well. And though we didn't get to see the two sort of main actors in those roles, the understudies were absolutely phenomenal. Like, my personal favourite in that whole performance was actually Jamie Ann Romero. I thought the way she delivered that role was like, it was funny, it was hysterical, but there was actually a really strong feminist in there as well. There was like real strength and a wonderment about her character because of her outlook and the way she sort of holds herself and, you know, interacts with other characters. I just loved watching her. I thought she just owned the stage in every possible way, and her comic timing and the way she listened to the other actors on stage. Mwah, chef's kiss. I loved it. That's it for this review. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, leave a like, comment your thoughts down below if you've seen it. If any of my English friends have seen this show, I'd love to know your thoughts, because we've got a lot of shows like this in England, and it's always interesting to see like an American version and how they create that. So yeah, I'd love to have a chat about it. But then again, if anyone has seen it and you want to chat, let's do it down in the comments. This is going to be my last theatre review for a little while, but I've got lots of poetry and creative content coming your way. So stay tuned. Every Sunday there'll be more content coming out, and I'm going to be putting loads of shorts on my channel all throughout my time in New York and beyond. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute joy to review my two first Broadway shows. Ah, what a joy. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later. Bye.